I know most people who do these videos and a lot of people that I get inspiration from usually post their 2021 setup or their New Year setup right at the beginning of the new year, and some even do it right before the new year. I did not do that. Obviously, as you can see, this video is coming out at the end of the first month, and that is because editing these videos takes a lot of time, and I don't ever want to put out a video that doesn't look good and that I don't think is going to be inspiring or entertaining to other people. And so I've kind of procrastinated. It's a mix of that. It's also a little bit of just not being pleased with how I recorded the video. I think it came out fine. I think you guys can see everything fine, but all of that to say, it took me a while to get around to editing this, but I finally finished it. So something that I'm also taking with me throughout this new year is not beating myself up for things like deadlines that nobody else cares about except for me. I don't need to be so hard on myself when it comes to my journal, especially because this journal is meant to be helpful and it's meant to be something that keeps me productive and helps me stay relaxed and makes me happy. So I don't want to stress myself over, did I get the planning done? Did I upload the video? Did I do the voiceover? Are the colors right? Are my eyes closed? Things like that. I am leaving in 2020, so better late than never. Yeah, that's one of my mottos that I'm taking with me in 2021. Better late than never. So in this journal, this is a Scribbles That Matter A5 dotted journal. I got this from Amazon, and as all of my supplies, I got all of them from Amazon. I will link them down in the description below. This journal automatically comes with a page for the key, which I really like. So I'm using the same key that I used last year. I have only been journaling for 7 months now, so I don't actually have my key completely memorized, just because as things changed throughout last year, there were some that I used a lot and some that I didn't really start using until the end of the year. So it's important for me to have the key here in the front so that I can remember how I'm staying organized and how I'm tracking my progress on personal projects, on family matters, and things like that. One thing about this Scribbles That Matter journal is that it comes with 3 pages of index, and I did not use these pages at all in my first journal, and it feels like kind of a waste. So I thought about some spreads that I had in my first journal, and I put those on the index pages so that these pages would be useful. They wouldn't just be blank, pointless pages. Also, that frees up 3 more pages in the journal for me to include other things, other spreads for the year and for each month, maybe notes, and hopefully if we get to travel, some extra travel pages and things like that. So the first page is books that I want to read. I did track books that I want to read this year. Well, last year in 2020, I tracked those books. I think I only finished one that I wanted to read, but I still have a list of about 10 or 12 that I am starting or have already bought or have in a library somewhere, either on my phone or like a physical book on my shelf. So I want to keep track of those books so that I know when I finish them, how many pages I've read, and things like that. So the next 2 pages are things, again, that I was tracking in my last journal. The things I want to listen to and watch. Different podcasts, different TV shows, anime, documentaries, different music, different artists. I really didn't go even inside of my comfort zone or my normal bubble when it comes to music and podcasts last year. I didn't try a lot of new things, and I think that's okay, but I also think it's good to try new things, and so I wanted to keep that spread so that I could make sure that I try new podcasts, listen to new ideas, listen to different points of view from around the world about different topics that maybe I'm not initially super excited about, but still something that I could learn from. And then this third page is something a little bit new. I usually keep recipes that I want to make as a Pinterest board on my Pinterest page, But this year I decided to put that in my journal. That way, when I complete those recipes, I can write the dates and put a smiley face or a sad face, whether it was successful or whether I actually like it. And that way I can always look back to my journal as a bit of a recipe book, kind of how I did for Thanksgiving last year. And then just to add color, I added the alternating blue and pink lines, highlighted lines on each line. Because this is an index, it does have a space for pages on the right side, which is fine for the books, but it doesn't really matter for the watching, listening, and recipes. So I just covered it up with some washi tape. I don't know what I'm going to put in that column yet. Maybe nothing. Maybe just my rating or the date that I do those things or find those recipes or, whatever. But for now, they're just blank columns. Moving on. Again, because I've only been journaling for 7 months, I do still heavily use my grid cheat sheet. I have not memorized where the lines are, and I have not gotten a great feel for how to space things out naturally. So I numbered all of the dots from left to right and top to bottom. I thought I was going to use a ruler, but then I realized I am not going to be picky about straight lines. So the ruler came and left just as quick. So the good thing about this Scribbles That Matter A5 dotted journal is that all of the middle points actually already have indicators. So at the top and the bottom and the left, right, and in the very middle of the page, instead of a dot, there's a straight line, and in the very middle, it's a plus sign. So that definitely helps. And then what I'm also separating is the page into threes and the page into fours, because those are usually the most common separations that I make on a page if I'm not doing half or just using the full page for coloring. And of course, they are color coded so that whenever I am glancing back at this, I can see the purple is 1/3 and the blue is 1/4. For my 2021 header page, I wanted to split up the 20 and 21 just because this was one of my favorite ideas that I got from a lot of different bullet journalists. Bullet journalists. Yes, that's the word. A lot of different people that I saw setting up their 2021 journals on Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube. We're splitting up the 2021 in a lot of different ways instead of, just all the numbers in a linear fashion. And so I thought this was nice and simple, a little bit different than what I did for 2020. And I think it's nice. It's not complicated, and it's cute, and it says exactly what it needs to say while adding a little bit of my own personality with the dots and stars around the edges. Another thing that I am taking into 2021, and something that I try to remember often, and I read it almost every day. I flip back to this page and I read this. I don't know who originated the quote, but it says, "If you have the option to be right or be kind, always choose kindness." And For me, that is something that I read every day because I know that I have a tendency to really, what's the word? Fight hard for my opinion or my ideas to be heard or to be recognized. And especially in cases where I know I am right and somebody else is wrong, I have a tendency to go a little bit too hard, and that's not good. That's not good for me, and that's not good for my relationships with others, even if it's just, the barista at the counter at Starbucks or whatever. So that is something that I read every day. That is something that I want to carry with me throughout the year. Next is my yearly outlook. This spread was a little bit disappointing. I have a stamp, and I used the stamp, and then the stamp betrayed me. Before I used the stamp, though, my pen did not betray me, so I wrote each month. I don't need a lot of space because I'm not going to be writing all of the important dates under each month like I did in 2020. For this, I really just need to see what the days are, when the weeks start, and something that I did in 2020 was add the theme for each month under these calendars as well, which you'll see that in just a minute. So for the calendar, like I said, I have this stamp, and what happened on the left side was that the page wasn't flat, obviously, because it's a brand new journal. This is literally page 3 of the journal, and there's nothing underneath it. So it wasn't flat enough, and I added my 2020 journal to try to make it flat, and it still didn't get as flat as I wanted. So I ended up going back and writing in all of those numbers that were missing, which turned out to take another 10 minutes. So I don't know. I like the stamp. At the same time, I knew that I needed to have a flat surface, and I didn't start with a flat surface. But even after I had the flat surface, the numbers were missing. So I might next year, or the next opportunity I get, I might just write the calendar all the way out. That takes a lot more time, but I think it's better to just take my time and enjoy something tedious like that versus going through the tedious work of putting the stamp together and then still having to fill in a third of the year because the stamp didn't come all the way through. At any rate, I filled the numbers in, so it's not terrible. Again, the stamp and the ink pad that I'm using are linked in the description below. For my headers in this beginning part of the 2021 setup, I wanted them to be simple. I wanted them to be small. I know there are some times where I know I'm going to want giant headers that cover maybe half of the page, but for the beginning setup of 2021, I wanted all of the headers to be small because I don't really want them to be a huge focus of what's on the page. So I've just got the yearly outlook with some cute little diamonds, and then a little divider in between the first half of the year and the second half of the year. Again, very simple, very much exactly what I need is on the page. For this part, I didn't want to add a whole lot of extra because I do plan on adding a whole lot of extra things to all of the other pages throughout the month. In 2020, I really enjoyed flipping back through all of my themes that I use for each month. So here I'm just adding alternating highlighting colors of my mild liners, and that's where I will write the themes for each month. The next page is a new spread that I've never used before, but something that I found would probably be very beneficial for me. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I do post my journal spreads on Instagram and Twitter. Also, I stream live on Twitch, and because of some of the changes that happened last year with us moving to a new home and just changes at work and things like that, I really didn't finish a lot of projects that I thought I was going to, and I didn't start a lot of projects that I thought I was going to, and overall just wasn't as consistent as I felt like I needed to be for myself. So the content planner is a great idea that I got from, again, a lot of different people on Instagram and YouTube, and I'm going to use this for basically 3 main content sites. So I had penciled 4 different spaces here, and then when I got to the 4th one, because I had already erased it, I forgot what I was going to put in that 4th space. And in general, this whole page I erased too early. I forgot what I was going to put in each section, so it took me a little bit to try to remember, but I finally got it. For my YouTube videos, it is basically I guess it's technically a 4 or 5 step process. I only put 4 steps here because that's all I could think of to track. But for YouTube, I have the video concept, and then the date that I think about the video, the day that I decide that I want to create that video, I put that date. And then the next icon is a video camera, so whenever I record. The next icon is supposed to be a pair of scissors, so whenever I edit. And then after that, the date that I actually submit it, that day that I actually post it. For Twitch, I forgot again. I erased too soon. I forgot exactly what I was going to put, so I just put a date for events. The next one to that is the event list, and then after that, the day that I complete that. And then for the podcast, the icons were whenever I'm recording the podcast, the date for when I record, the date for when I edit it, and then the last date for when I post it. Another new spread that I did not use in 2020 is my goals for the year and a master to-do list. So I don't think I wrote them on here, but my goals for the year is to have at least 1 podcast every month, at least 1 YouTube video every month, and streaming at least 3 days a week, just to help me be consistent. That is really simple. I think I probably could have done a lot more than that last year, but I wasn't organized enough and disciplined enough, so I'm going with that goal this year. If I do more, great, but that is the absolute minimum that I want to do, just to get in the habit of keeping myself disciplined and staying on track. And here I'm just adding washi tape to both of these pages just to add a little bit of color. I don't want a lot of borders. I need it to be simple so that I can have plenty space to write notes, edit my goals, add new goals, and add new things to the master list as the year goes on. So this is my January spread. I, for the first time, decided to do this along with the bullet journal setup. And I can say that I was extremely exhausted. My hand was tired. My brain was tired. All in all, I just was really tired. This was about a 3-hour process. So this is now into the 3rd hour. And I was really excited for this theme. And I really do like how this theme came out. But I don't think it was my best just because I was so tired by the time I started this. So for the month of January, I went with the theme of my favorite video game right now, which is Don't Starve, or Don't Starve Together. This is a game that I have played for the last 3 years, and in some cases, sometimes has been the only game that I've been playing. But I play it a lot. I love it. I have new friends that I've made because of this game, and old friends and family that I play with that also really enjoy the game. And the character that I main, my favorite character in the game, is Wickerbottom. She is a librarian, and her catchphrase, her main slogan is knowledge is power. So I'm writing that over here on the left side. I'm combining the chevron accents with a new font that I've never really used before. It still looks pretty similar to like my normal handwriting and other fonts that I've used, but I wanted to try this in this spread just to see how it would look. And then the alternating red and blue to go along with the color of the hat on the right side. This is the winter hat from the game, and also the winter sweater is in the same style. So there's a hat that you can craft in the game, and it keeps you warm during the seasons. The game is all about survival, so you do go through all 4 seasons of the year. There are season-specific bosses and season-specific attributes of the world that make it easier, or in some cases more difficult to survive, but the goal is to survive. And so the winter hat, because it is still winter, I thought was appropriate. Even though it's 75, 85 degrees here in Texas, it is still winter. If you've ever played Don't Starve or Don't Starve Together, or if you've never played it and you're curious about it, I want to hear from you. If you've played it before, who do you main? Who's your favorite character? What's your favorite season? Leave that in the comments below. If you've never played before and you're interested in playing, definitely leave a comment down below, and I can send you a link to my Discord where you can join and find out when we play in our community server, and you can learn how to play the game, and it'll be a really fun time. Moving on to the monthly outlook, this is probably my favorite page in this setup, just because it is basically a window of gameplay. So when you're in the game, when you're playing the game, you have inventory and you have your craftable items and you have the calendar of what's happening in the world. So you have the days, the seasons, and of course your player status, so your health, your hunger, your sanity metrics. Also, the more you play the game, you get daily gifts, and that also pops up on this page. And so I wanted to make this look like this is how I'm playing in the game, because this is the most frequent scene, the most common scene, regardless of what's happening in the game. Pretty much all these metrics are always on the screen. And that was the point where my hand was way too tired and my mind way too exhausted to finish. So here we are back at the beginning. I'm just adding some stickers to accent my trackers, and here's the final flip through. Hopefully one day I will name the journal. That is what that space is for on the left, but if I never do, that's okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comments below if you've got any inspiration from this, or what ideas you're using, what new things you're taking into 2021, what things you have left in 2020. If you're like me, there are probably more things you've left in 2020 than things that you're bringing with you, but hopefully you've replaced those with good things to carry on through 2021. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at jazzylocks_ so you can always see latest updates from my journaling and from my gameplay. Also find me at Twitch TV/jazzylocks. That is where I play this game, and this is the finished product of that page. As you can see, a lot of coloring took place. And then my habit tracker and mood tracker. The mood tracker is the refrigerator from my favorite game. And the first week of January, which is technically just those 3 days, and my character, Wickerbottom. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all your support. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.